And there it is. Yeah, so I just shared, we haven't really started yet. We're just, I just put learning2gether.net in the, actually I put it in the Hangout chat. I should have put it in the other. But anyway, if you look at the bottom of that link, you'll see, it's not actually at the bottom. You just have to scroll down through the first event. How far should you go? Where it says if you can find tech and app Smackdown text chat links and excerpts. They just mentioned quite a lot of apps and things that they're using.
Yeah.
I found that to be really interesting. You know, that so many people contributed to it. Something
I know
like
that. Yeah, Marcia Lima, she's from Goiânia. I used to live in Goiânia. You know, she's very active. Yeah, QR codes, I see. Yeah, great.
something called iPadio. Do you use that?
No, I don't. iPadio?
Uh-huh.
No, it's a voice tool.
I think so, yes. I think it's an audio tool.
Yeah, I guess so. iPadio.
Yeah, I haven't really checked a lot of these out, but I just thought it was just a nice starting point. Let's see, iPadio, phone casting.
Okay. Right.
Anyway.
All right.
Well, we are in Hangout, May 11th, and there's Claire. Claire Braden-Siskin has just arrived. Hi, Claire.
Hello, Claire.
Hi. Hello, Claire.
She's in Chandigarh, India. And Maria Bosa is here from Argentina. And,
hi, Maria.
Yeah, and then Jose Antonio da Silva is our presenter today. I said this is May 11th, actually, May 11th, 2014.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk about mobile learning tips and issues. And I think your focus is more or less on iPads, is it?
Yeah, not only on iPads, but in mobile learning in general. Okay. And I'll talk about some other issues because the issues have to do with this. Okay. By the way, Claire, happy Mother's Day, all right?
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. After this meeting, I'm going to Skype with my son.
Okay, so welcome. Should I start?
Sure.
Okay. So
I think
mobile
we're
learning
usually informal here, so you can go ahead.
Yeah. Issues. Right.
I could introduce you though, Jose. I'd really like.
Yeah, please.
Can I just interrupt you to mention that? Let's see. I'm trying to think. When did we? You must have become a web head. I think I met you in Brasilia.
Yes, we did.
When I went to a conference there. Yeah, and then since then, you're very active in Electronic Village Online, and you've kind of taken over the becoming a webhead thing with ICT for EFT, which is the session you co-moderated this last EVO session. I've seen you at numerous international conferences, TESOL conferences. Is numerous like 2, or is it more than that? I can't remember. I don't know. Claire, how many times have you met Jose?
Yeah, we have met many times. All right. Sorry.
I know he was at TESOL, but Jose, I think I didn't see you at TESOL. I think we missed each other.
Yeah, we did. Sorry.
Because you said, "Where are you?" He would have taken your picture.
That's true.
Okay. Well, anyway, we've just got iPads at the school where I'm working, and we're learning really neat things, how to use them. So I'm always interested in talking about iPads. Are you using iPads as well, Maria?
Well, not yet. We're using netbooks. We go far behind, yes. When everybody is on iPads, we are still on netbooks.
And well, obviously, smartphones as well. It's going to be the topic of today. Okay. Well, thank you, Jose, for agreeing to come and share with us your knowledge and expertise, which I think you've been developing hands-on. And you said you just got a grant for Carla Arena arranged a grant for your schools to get iPads, and so you've learned quite a lot in the meantime.
Yeah, we did. Okay, but I have to thank you, Vance and Claire and Maria also. We are a community. We have always learned a lot. I mean, in crafting the ICT for ELT, Maria joined us and was very helpful. And so let's see. What I want to do today is just to share some of the things that we have learned. Okay, and so first I'm going to define mobile learning, right? I'm going to talk a bit about our context, the institution where we work, what we did and what we are doing, because this is a process like learning, some issues that we have because technology is always glitchy and you always have problems, some tips, some things that we use that helped us, develop knowledge in mobile learning, and some apps or activities, some things that we do with teachers, and then you can ask some questions, okay? I'll focus more on the presentation itself. If you have some questions, you can interrupt me, or Vance will do it. All right.
Yeah.
So,
if you have questions in the chat, if you could put them in the chat wing at webhidsenaction.org/live. That would help anybody who's joining us in the stream. I don't know if anyone is in the stream right now, but if you are, you might write something in the chat wing below the streaming window. We often have people in the stream.
Yeah,
and you're
okay.
welcome. Maria is there. She's found it. Good. Okay. So anyway, if we do catch someone there, you're welcome to join us live, because we have room for 10 people here. We have 4 in the Hangout right now.
Okay, all right. So over here, okay, this is a door. Okay, the school we have has this doors that you can view. Okay, this presentation is just a little bit of what we do, and in a way it's so because everyone has their take on mobile learning. First, okay, let's see how I would define mobile learning. This is a definition from Nick Hockley. That is learning that takes place via portable, often Wi-Fi enabled handheld devices. And so mobile learning morphs to individuals and their contexts. It's learning on the go. So people will have different kinds of devices. Maria was saying that they have netbooks. Netbooks can be mobile too. So mobile learning is, I see it as democratic and as inclusive, so it's not restricted to iPads only, but we have a great experience with iPads. And it's learning on the go, and it's learning that takes place wherever you are. Okay, this picture is a picture of my students doing some activities that I'll share with you a bit later. Okay.
I don't have any Kleenex box.
Hi, Nina.
Hello, Nina. So first, like I told, like Vance explained in the blurb, we start with this iPad sets. So what we had an English access program, and Carla Arena wrote a proposal for the Department of State, and we got a grant of 20 iPads. So that was the beginning. That was back in 2011, and we started using those iPads. So that's where we started. So the iPads were like the starter for the process for involving mobile learning. Our school is connected, all right? We have Wi-Fi, we have connection in the classroom. And what we do, and we also use an online request form from Google. It's a Google spreadsheet that we use for teachers to request to use the iPads in the classroom. So each teacher is allowed to keep the iPads for 50 minutes. Because our classes, we have classes of 2 periods of 50 minutes. There is a 10-minute break. So students, the teachers get the sets of iPads and do activities. But we are not connected only through the network, but we have a strong community, So it's not only the physical wires of the internet provider, but we have a strong, creative, and active community of teachers who are connected in many ways, okay? Through social media, face-to-face, the water cooler conversations in the teacher's room. So we have a big community of teachers. The school has approximately maybe 350 teachers or 300 teachers, I'm not sure. So it's a big community and very diverse, so we are really connected. Moving on to what we have done. So training, I think training is really important when you think about learning for teachers and for everyone. So first we started with, since I joined Casa Thomas Jefferson, it was back in 2006, because of my involvement with blogging back then when I met Barbara D. Okay, she was the first person I met her before Carla Arena, in fact. So when I joined Casa Thomas Jefferson, I had already met Barbara D. And we, so I after 6 months, I was invited to join the EdTech group, and we started training. So first, our Tech Fridays were more like to work on PowerPoint presentations because that's what teachers were using. And we kind of focused on design, on how to make PowerPoint presentations more didactic, more effective as a way of teaching. And then from Tech Fridays, so generally teachers, we don't have many classes on Fridays, so Friday is a good way for teachers to get training. So we didn't have My Days, right? And was like, we focus on the iPads. I forgot to say, in the beginning, so we had 20 iPads, but then the school started, as we developed more projects, the school started buying iPads for the other branches. Now all the branches have 20 or 10 iPads. So, the first thing of our strategy for implementing iPads was training. And then as we moved in training, we decided to have a space in our wiki, because we share lessons on a wiki. We have a PBWorks account. Okay, it's a paid account. Unfortunately, I cannot share this with you, but we have, I mean, maybe more than 20,000 files there in PowerPoint, you know, that we share. So when a teacher comes to teach a lesson, everything is there. But so what we started doing was sharing. This is just an example. We started sharing what we call activities, so an activity with iPads. So a teacher goes and writes a short plan of what he did, what the focus of the lesson was, if it was grammar or vocabulary, you know, and he would go and share this there, all right? Okay. Do you have any questions? Okay, I was going to open for, all right?
Okay, I do. I have a question, J.A.
Yes.
How was or were all the teachers ready to start with the new technology? Because sometimes it's very difficult for my colleagues here to accept the things, for example, I do about technology. So in what ways did your colleagues accept all you were implementing?
Yes, it's a slow process, you know. I think many teachers still haven't joined. They have joined one way or another, you know. There is resistance at the beginning. We cannot deny that, you know. I think training it's like evangelization, you know. You start doing people. It was the same thing with this wiki that nowadays has like 20,000 files or more. Now it works by itself, you know. So that's the same thing is happening with mobile learning, because slowly teachers start implementing it. It's a process, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, all right.
You know, one thing that happens when people bring iPads in, oh, there you go, connection is faulty, too many devices. Yeah, that's you're anticipating my question, but
yes,
I heard about this. There's some Australian educators, the EdTech crew, Tony Richardson and Daryl Branson. I don't know if do you listen to them by any chance, or they do a podcast from Australia.
I guess I didn't.
I think they're worth listening to, worth subscribing to. They've got you know, they do training in schools with iPads.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one thing that seems to surprise a lot of people is when the iPads come, all of a sudden the network just goes to pot, you know. And
Yes.
and certainly at our place, we're having a lot of trouble with that.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, well, go ahead. So, yeah.
Yes, like you said, okay, so the connection is faulty. Why? Because, I mean, too many people, too many, I mean, devices connected to the one Wi-Fi network that you have, and sometimes, I mean, the router just turns off, or the connection crashes. So another thing, it's too many devices because we have 20 iPads, you know. So this is another problem for a teacher. You know, a teacher takes like 10 iPads to the class, and how does the teacher solve that problem? Another thing, like Maria was asked, is like teacher skills, all right? So we have to try to figure out a way of dealing with these problems, right? So it is okay for in the next slide. I have some. Okay, let me talk about the connection. So if the connection is faulty, so what we do? Try to because now in one of the branches that I work, the one near my home, the computer person started like assigning passwords, okay, closing some of the routers to the general, to all the students, and restricting access only to the iPads. So it's improved the connection a bit, although sometimes we do have issues, all right? So another thing is to try to do things that doesn't depend on connection, because mobile learning, it implies Wi-Fi accessibility, but these can be shared later, you know. So what you do if you have iPads in class and you do an activity using them, try to select apps that don't have necessarily to be connected, to have internet connection to work. So that's a new strategy that we started working on. I mean, telling teachers to not always rely on internet connection to do something, all right? So too many devices, all right? I think the next slide is that. Synchronizing, I'm going to talk about the other items later. Synchronizing solves the problem. So what we did, we create an account, an institution account, so all the iPads are logged on that account. So it helps us manage this variety of devices. So once we have all the iPads in one account only, even if you don't have connection, when the connection is established, you can get all the things that were done from a single iPad. Or you can log on to your home computer. If it's something that's accessible via PC, you can log to the institution account and get everything that the students did, right? And another strategy, I mean, I'm going the list, I'm not following the list, it's export later. So what we did, okay, because sometimes a teacher doesn't have time to do that, you know. If there is connection, what I do with my students, what many students do, you just write your email on the board and ask students to export that to you, to send to you via email. But if there is no connection, so what we did, we numbered the iPads that we did. We have the set of iPads, so we have iPad number 1, 2, 3, 4, until 10 in one bag, and from 11 to 20 in another bag. So if a teacher uses a set of iPads, it uses 5 of those iPads, we have like a request form for the teacher to fill out, and the librarian or somebody at the school will export that later, because it's a problem of classroom management. You know, the teacher won't be able to do that. Okay, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Callum Sterling, who's in the stream, and Rita was in the stream and chatting with us there, and she just joined us in the Hangout. So hi to Rita. How are you? Another
Hi, Vance.
Hello.
Hi, Vance. Great to be here again.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so another thing, I think that's why I was saying that mobile learning cannot be restricted to iPads. If you have iPads, students have iPads too, you know, and so to make it more inclusive, maybe more democratic, I think the BYD policy, implementing BYD is important, you know, encouraging students to use their devices, you know, bring your own device policy, so you can use the school iPads in one day, and you say, oh, next class, please bring your devices. There's the problem of safety, because many times parents don't want kids to take their devices to school because teachers might be complaining because they are not paying attention to class because they're using their devices. But implementing a BYD policy is good because it encourages students to learn, you know, how to use their devices, and then you can have them using their iPhones, their Android phones, their feature phones, whatever they have, you know, just having activities that demands them to bring their devices, and it can be a laptop or something. Every time I say to my students, let's use your smartphone. The other day I went to substitute for a teacher, and I said, use your smartphone. They said, oh, teacher, I just left my phone at home. I left my phone at home because they are too young. But can I bring it next class? I know, next class. I don't know. I'm just substituting. I don't know if the teacher will use it. And the next thing that I think is important is the same Armado. I don't know. Have you guys heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This was proposed by Ruben Pontedura. And what he says is, I mean, this is like I see like a pyramid. So the baseline is substitution, right? Substitution is when you do things that you do with a paper, you just do it in computer. Like, for example, sometimes what I do, and it includes BYOD, it's like I say, oh, let's do a dictation, get your cell phones, and let's they just love it. You know, it's something simple. Right. So it's just text, something that you could do with paper, but you just do with mobile technology, iPhone, iPad, or Android devices, or anything, just using the text functionality. So there is no increasing the technology, but it's just you're just substituting, all right? And then there is augmentation, that is like you don't not only do something that you did on paper before, but you share. You know, you share with your teacher by email. That's what he calls augmentation. So I mean, teachers. I think many teachers would start with substitution. You know, and then and then modification. There is task redesign and redefinition. All right, there is a lot of text on the internet about this. And so that's one thing that we've been training our teachers also, talking about the same model and talking about the value of substitution. So many teachers are substituting using these devices to write, you know. And that's, do you have any questions, any issues?
I suppose there are a couple of questions. Maybe you'll answer them later in your slides.
Later? Okay, all right.
But yeah. I would like to know how you design learning so that it spreads across different devices. Because if you're doing the BYOD, one disadvantage is that you have to, the things that you have in class have to open on the different devices. And the other thing is how, well, you said, for example, that writing can be substitution, but what apps do you find at the different levels of the SAMR model? For example, if you're doing writing and you're, say, using Adobe to have students write on a PDF file and they put it in Dropbox, that's pretty much a substitution thing. But how would you then move up how would you go to augmentation, modification, and redefinition in writing? You must have some.
Okay, I'm going to give you some examples, all right?
Okay.
So some apps that we use, okay, that answers your question. Okay, the first one is Evernote, all right? We use Evernote a lot. Evernote is an app. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's for text. So this is an example. For substitution would be basically like the text functionality of the phone, all right? But Evernote synchronizes. So we have an institutional account of Evernote. And for example, when I'm doing writing, if I'm doing a composition, I just bring 10 iPads to class. If I have 10 students, I do the pre-writing activity and I let them write it in the iPads. Evernote has a notebook, you can create notebooks. So I create a notebook with my name. The devices are already logged into the institution Evernote account, and students go there, write. So when I get home, or because you can do it even if the internet is not connected, right? When it's connected, I just get their paragraphs and correct. And Evernote also allows for voice, I can ask them to record conversations and then I have access to it. It's a way of doing substitution. It's actually is in augmentation because it's shared. Another thing, there's two guys here. Okay, this is a good example of BYOD. Because some of the schools that we have that we call outposts, so those are regular schools that we have a contract with. So Casa Thomas Jefferson goes there. We have our teachers. We teach them with our material, but it's in the school premises, so they don't have connection. So this is we always have those dialogues that they have to repeat. So I tell students, so record this, all right, and send to me. And you can see they're really having fun here, right? So they record, they listen to it, they rehearse, and when they like it, they send it to me. Some of them don't have connection in their devices. I say, when you get home, you connect to the Wi-Fi and you send it to me. So they love doing it. So this is something that we do. Okay, also using the recorder, the iPad recorder, any kind of recorder that you have, it's more inclusive. Because we have many apps in our iPads. Something that I have used with my students, SoundCloud or AudioBoo. The same way we have an institution account. So I logged the iPads onto that account. Tell the students to record, and it's a good example of maybe redefinition because they have to rehearse and practice. It's something that it was not possible before having this recording technology, and then sharing. And I share it on Facebook, and they like it a lot. Notability is another one that we use. It's I don't know if you're familiar with Notability. It's also a text-based app, and you can also use images. And what they do, they would write, any written task that we have, and add images, take pictures, get pictures from the internet if there is connection, or get a picture and add it there, and then later they can share to Dropbox or to email. Yeah, and I think the BYD is important here. And later we've been playing with augmented reality using QR codes for treasure hunt, or using the QR code reader. Or another app that we are starting to use is Aurasma. I don't know if you have heard of it. This one, you use a trigger picture, and you record a video and use that video as an overlay. So when you hover your iPad, over that trigger picture, the video pops out. This example here is a video that I did for Mother's Day. So what I did, we were working with the Simple Past, and I asked them to interview their mothers, get some biographical information, and then had them have a conversation about it, okay, talking about the information that they got. So I assign one as the cameraman, the director, the other ones do the casting, and I have a group of 20 students, and that's what I usually do. Okay, I have some screen shots. So this is an example of Evernote, all right? This is a project that I was working. It's called Our City, Our Class, City, Country. And so I use Evernote because this one of our branches, the school lab, was deactivated. They are building a new one, so I can only count on iPads. So I take the iPads and ask them to write in Evernote. They post a picture, and then I just have to transfer the page to the wiki, and I make corrections, and they go there and add it and correct. This is an example of Evernote. Another screenshot of Evernote. As you can see here, there you have the notebooks. See, you have different notebooks for different teachers. The teacher, their names here, and so all the notes are here in Evernote. Okay. So, do you have any questions? I mean, I just don't want to continue talking. Okay. Did I answer? Yes.
Yeah, I have a question about Evernote. Do you have the premium account or do you have the regular Evernote?
No, the school has the regular account.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Okay.
Yeah, you use just one account, or is it feasible for each person to have his account or her account?
Yeah, I have my own account, you know, but the school account, the good thing about having an institutional account is that because if teachers start logging on to the iPads with their own accounts, and then the teacher that gets the device doesn't know the password of that account. So having an institutional account is good because we share this account with the teachers and we tell them. So it makes easier. Okay, so all the iPads are synchronized. When we have to download a new app, so generally Carla takes them to the main branch, the computer person, the CPD person, downloads the new apps and synchronizes. The iTunes account is synchronized and all the iPads have the same apps. So this helps a lot.
Yeah, of course. I hadn't. That's right. If you're sharing the devices, that's a good idea.
Yeah, they have to speak the same language, you know. Sometimes a teacher will have his account on a given app. He can log in and log out and export to his account. But it makes much easier if there is an institution account and the iPads are logged into that account. So everything the students do, you have to be careful about labeling. So when I say, like, these are students of mine, I say, Gustavo, about Brazil, I tell them, write a note in Evernote, but give this note this title and put in my notebook. Sometimes they won't find my notebook. It's in all notes, and then later I drag them to my notebook. Okay.
I just put a question by Tere in the chat, and I also had a question myself.
Okay.
Since I don't have an iPad and I've never used Evernote and I don't know what it is. Can you explain a little bit more about the notebooks?
Yes, Evernote. Who's speaking?
Nina.
Hi, Nina. Sorry. Okay.
You can't recognize my voice because
Nina, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm still bad with this single license. But anyway, no, Evernote is not. The good thing about Evernote because it's a universal app. So it's for computers, for Android phones, for anything. The notebooks are like folders. You know, you can have all your notes spread. Like, see, the first tab is all notes. So many people write notes. They don't assign them to notebooks. But then you can create notebooks. The notebooks are like folders, you know. And so you put those notes into a folder. What Evernote is really the app of choice for supervisors. For example, we are observed, and when an observer comes in to observe us, so he turns on the recording functionality in Evernote, and he takes notes. so he
Wow.
can listen to us later. It's like a big brother word, but I think it helps a lot. I've been doing that because we have a mentoring project where I'm assigned to some trainee teachers and I have to observe them. So I observe them, I use Evernote to take notes, and I record also. It helps me a lot when I have to write the report to double check for things, you know. So Evernote is very useful, you know, it's really good.
And Jose Tere Almeida Dessa asked on the other chat, what's the main difference between Evernote and Notability?
Oh, the main difference is that Notability is also, you can also have folders in Notability, but I think one of the problems I find with Notability is you have to export files as PDF or JPEG, you know. And Notability synchronized with Dropbox, but in Notability, I guess you can create notebooks also, but it's heavier. The text, I think, formatting. Evernote is lighter, easier to synchronize, and it's more universal. You know, I don't know if Notability has a platform for PCs. I'm not sure, and for Android, and it's not a universal platform like Evernote. And Evernote also allows you to create, it gives you an email, a personalized mail. So if you can ask your students if they have their own accounts, they can write an email, produce a document in Evernote, and then send to your Evernote address. It gives you a specific address, Evernote, and it goes to a specific notebook if you create a tag for that notebook. Did I answer your question, Teresa?
I'd like to make a comment also. It's hard. I don't know, cat herding is not my specialty, but we have a chat wing at the bottom of webheadsinAction.org/live, and if Teresa is in the stream, she won't be able to read the text chats that we're putting here in the Hangout. So it's hard to herd people over there, but it's a place that everybody in the stream and in the Hangout can communicate. So sometimes the people in the stream complain a little bit if we don't, because they can't see what's going on in the Hangout text chat. But anyway, if you
but
can...
I don't know why people aren't joining.
Yes,
oh, there she is.
Sure. Thanks, Nina.
Sometimes people just like to hang out and listen, you know? So.
I just have to say that this morning, more than any other morning, I had difficulty finding the Hangout. I kept everything I clicked on until the last one, which got me here finally, just took me to the stream.
Yeah, the same happened to me, Nina.
Yeah, so it took some ingenuity to actually track down the link.
At the stream, but you might have to refresh it, but at the stream there is a direct link to this Hangout and also to the event page, the Google event page. And of course you can go to Learning2gether, which is tinyurl.com.
I did all of those things, but I kept getting shunted to the wrong place. And then finally I did find one. I don't know if it was in Learning2gether. I think it was in Learning2gether finally. There were directions like third down that say if you want to join the Hangout, here's the link. And finally, but it took me like 5 or 10 minutes to figure out where it was. I kept clicking on, on the Hangout, but it turned out to be the streaming Hangout.
Okay. Well, when I'm streaming a Hangout, I use webheadsinAction.org/live for that. Just really because I like to keep connection with World Bridges and Jeff.
Yeah, but it's also in the Google Plus, I think, because I got an email. Are you gonna go? And there's an embedded video there with a thing to click on, and when you click on that, all you can do is listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So that's where you need the link, I think, because that's the reminder that I don't know. Oh, I don't want to complain, and I did eventually find it. But I had more trouble than I used to.
That's good feedback. Good feedback. check. I'll double check that link. Yeah. So if you want to join the Hangout, you're welcome to do it. And right now the links are at webheadsinaction.org/live, and their link is. Oh, it might not. I wonder if I put it at Learning Together, the direct link. Anyway, I'll double check that. I might have forgot that. But
I don't think you did, Vance, because I wasn't here. Sorry to interrupt. It was Nina who gave me the direct link, but no problemo.
It is. If you're listening and you want to join us, there are 3 more places in the Hangout, and if you go to webheadsinaction.org/live, the direct link is there, and I'll put it into the other Learning Together as well. But anyway, yeah, I think there's a lot of steps, and sometimes I forget 1 or 2.
I don't know, Vance. This is just not acceptable. I think we're going to, remove your web head.
Then it'll be all off.
Because none of the rest of us ever forget anything,
No.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, super organizer of EVO is just
and fabulous neurons.
Okay.
Apologies to JA for the long interruption.
No, it's so great to have you here, Nina and Teresa and Maria and everybody, and Vance. Vance is our hero. And Rita. Okay. Right.
JA, just to say, I think you answered my question about the difference between Evernote and Notability. I was trying to download Notability, and it tells me that I have to go to the Portuguese account at the App Store. Kind of strange because I never get that message. But anyway, okay.
Yeah. Yes, I guess they don't have Notability for PCs. I think it's just for iPad.
No, I was downloading it in my iPhone.
Okay,
so,
I see.
Yeah, but I'll check it out later. Okay,
all right.
The interruption.
No, it's welcome. It's a good question because we are here exactly to help. It's like a training. Okay, so this Evernote. Okay, let me see the previous slide. So basically it's this, using. Another thing that I want to share, the other day I was in the teacher's room and I listened to this teacher. She was listening to students. I said, oh, what are you doing? She said, no, it's the oral test because we have assessments. Okay, we're changing our assessment and we are doing more formative assessment. So assessments for a semester happens like 6 times, and there was an oral assessment. And what the teacher did, she asked the students to record their oral test. They would have a conversation. Okay, that was they had instructions for that conversation, and they recorded and sent it to her via WhatsApp. That app, and then she listened to that. Okay, so the thing I did with my students, she was doing for the oral test. So it's another example of BYOD because most of our students do have these devices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. And over here, let me just move to the next one. Apps. Another app that we've been using a lot, okay, that I use a lot with my students is Comic Life. Comic Life, what it does, you can create comics, okay, let me just give you an example here. Okay, this is a student of ours. She's very creative and so she was teaching a lesson that had to do with superhero. So she went to class dressed as Wonder Woman, and and the other students play the other superheroes. This is the fact of training because I gave them, we gave them a training, and what we do with training, we try to start small. So we just don't go there and throw in a lot of apps. We choose like 3 or 4, demonstrate, tell them how can you use it. It's a hands-on workshop. Can we do this? So we did with this teacher, and she just loved it. She said, Jose, I remembered you today. I did this with my students, and she said they had a lot of fun. Like taking the pictures and writing the speech bubbles and everything. Okay, so this is an example. This was from the training we did, My Life as an Educator. So see, there's the second one, frustration. Okay, 3 strips of paper, and then they created this. So this is Comic Life. What we use it for, I like to use it with my students for our literature books. You know, we have the readers, you know, and like somewhere, so we read for 15 minutes. After reading 3 or 4 times, okay, I ask them to create a conversation between the characters, and they do it in Comic Life, and they just love it. They take pictures of the book, take pictures of themselves, write the speech bubbles, and you can share this by email. I don't know if it's published in Facebook, because sometimes you forget where you can take these things to, but it's a good app. We like Comic Life.
Jose, I'm just wondering, could you also do this in a computer lab instead of using mobile devices?
Yeah, I think with comics, I don't know if, I think Comic Life, I'm not sure if you can use Comic Life in a computer, but you have Make-Believe Comics, okay, that's a comic strip, okay, you can do in a computer lab. I did that with my students. There is one that's, it was in that list, okay, there is one, what's Tiny, no, what's the name, Vance, do you remember? One with cartoons. No. There is Extreme, all right, it's a video tool. We do have, there are some comic tools for computers too, Nina, yeah, that are, if you cannot do Comic Life.
One that got a lot of at the event last week, Toondoo.
Toondoo, that's the one. Toondoo is fabulous. It's fantastic. Thanks, Francis. I saw it in that list. Toondoo is really good.
Yeah, I'm looking at the URL now.
Yeah, Toondoo. Yeah,
Thanks.
I use it. Yeah, and Toondoo is very nice. Another one is Pic Collage. This is an example of Pic Collage. You know what I did with my students. We are with the readers again. When we finish reading, I said, "Oh, suppose this has turned into a movie. Okay, create a poster for the movie." And I asked them, "What information does a poster have?" So let me read it for you. They say, with Emma Stone, Johnny Depp, Cooper. And J.K. Jr. Magic, the New York Times. And then they put the time, summer, and then other information. And some of them put like 20 Oscar nominations, and they have fun. And the good thing about this, I think, with mobile learning is that you start doing things that before you used to do with paper. Like to do a poster like this, would take you a lot of time, you know, and you'd have to bring in pencils and pens and crayons and ink to the class. It's fun, but time-wise, it's complicated when you have a tight schedule. Another thing that I have been realizing is that they have many of them have iPads, but they don't use them to create anything. They just use it to play games. So when you take the school iPad to class, say, let's use this app called Visualize or Pic Collage. Teacher, how cool, what's the name of this app? I'm going to download it. So, I mean, it's digital literacy in a way, because you're teaching them how to be creative with those things. And another thing, I mean, I was impressed with the work of this boy with this app. He had never seen it. So sometimes one thing that we have with teach, oh, I don't know how to use it. But you just have to learn the basics. And what we do, we connect the iPad, we have the cable, we connect the cable to the projector and show to them. If I don't have that, if the iPad doesn't connect, I say, guys, come here, and then I demonstrate to them. In 5 minutes, they're doing things that I didn't know how to do, you know? So it's fantastic. And another one that we use is Visualize. It's also used to create posters. You know, we can create posters and customize them. Okay, a time for, do you have any questions?
I'm looking at the links. I'll stick the links in the, let's see, I could put Visualize on iTunes in the chat. Somebody better feed their dog.
Maybe it's not their dog. Maybe it's the neighbor's dog.
The neighbor's dog, yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm being bad. I'm putting these links in the Hangout chat. Is anybody in the stream who would like the links to be pasted into the stream? I would be happy to put them in chat wing if someone would say they wanted it there.
Yeah, let me just go to the. Okay, I'm disconnected from the stream. Yeah, that's basically what I had to share, you know, and I'm open to ask questions, to answer your questions that you have, in case you do have any.
Jay, I have a question for you. How often do you use iPads in class? Is it all the time, or what?
I try to use at least once a week. And what I try to do, my approach, and generally the approach that we try to encourage, is like making the use of iPad to substitute for something that you would do otherwise. Like, for example, you have to write a paragraph, or there is a dialogue. So instead of doing the dialogue traditionally, use a mobile device. So this way you save time, and it's pedagogically more sustainable, because you're not going out of your way to do something that is extra. So like with that activity for the Mother's Day, by the way, happy Mother's Day to you, Teresa.
Thank you. For us it was last week, you know. There's always this difference, yes. But thank you. Happy Mother's Day to you here too. Nina, Tina, and has Claire disappeared?
Yeah,
Claire mentioned she was going to Skype her son later.
Ah, so.
Okay, yeah.
He took precedence over us.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, Maria, you're not a mother, but you're an aunt, a very drooling aunt.
Yeah, Maria
with Raphael, she's so cute. So anyway, a happy day to you too.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
And you, Teresa, you're mother of all of us, you know.
That's a great one.
You have this big, okay, we should all send you some present, all right? But anyway, answer to your question, Teresa. So what I did, like, we had this Mother's Day approaching, and we were working with the simple past. I said, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I prepared a handout with some questions, like, where was your mother born? And all those questions in the past. Who was her best friend when she was a child? And so it was like the grammar we were dealing with, and I asked them to gather this information, and then I put them to have a conversation and make a short video. Or sometimes I would do, like, record this in Audioboo or SoundCloud. So that I usually do.
Okay, and when you say once a week, you try to at least once a week. How many lessons do they have per week?
Well, they have two classes a week. You know? So, and I don't do this for the whole class. So I separate like 20 minutes of the class. We have like 1 hour and 40 minutes of class. So it's like you have 50 minutes and then a break and then another 50 minutes. So I always try to do something quickly.
Yeah, but that's great, because that's a very regular presence of iPads, and I'm sure it's very motivating for them.
Yeah, they love it. Yeah. And I think you create a habit, you know, of using them, and teach them that those tools can be used for other things than playing.
Right.
For learning.
One thing.
I'm sorry, Vance. I have one question before I leave, because my parents will be waiting for me. Yes.
Okay.
J.A., you said that all the school is working with your iPad. Okay, all the students are working with iPads because it's the school policy. Is there any policy for schools that don't use iPads? I mean, for example, in the school, it's prohibited. We cannot use cell phones, iPads, smartphones, or anything. So what?
Well, they're in the Middle Ages.
Yes, of course.
Yes. No, we do.
That's such a I told you.
we do. Now teachers try to enforce their own policies, you know. So students do come to class with iPhones or other devices, and sometimes you see they're texting in Facebook. They put the device in their bags, you know, or they're texting. I say, oh, stop texting. You can, but we don't. The school doesn't forbid them from bringing the devices to class, and I think a BYD policy helps you. I mean, maybe you can curb some of that urge to use their phones if you ask them to do some things with the things that they brought to class. Ask them to go around the school, take pictures, and then describe those pictures. Yeah, but we do. And I mean, not all the teachers. Me, because I like technology so much, but many teachers don't use iPads. Some teachers rarely take the devices to their classes because we have a big number of teachers, around 300, 350. So some teachers are very resistant. But some teachers that were very resistant in the beginning, they starting slowly, like using substitution, you know, asking students to write paragraphs or send to them by email. It's slowly. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think an app that one of the most useful apps to me is the QR code reader.
Yeah.
I have a portal. I've kept it for a long time. It's just a PB Wiki portal, but I've started putting. First of all, a lot of my portals, like Learning2gether, for example, has a QR code for Learning2gether. So, if it happens to be on a screen somewhere, people can just shoot that and get it on their mobile device. So, well, with that straight away, with a QR code there to the site you're looking at, then they can easily go to, you know, what you're trying to show them in class without having to type the URL in Safari or something like that. It just, I call this my magic website. And the QR codes really do make it magic because they just, once they've discovered it, then they can just pop up to the class and take a picture of what's on the screen and go back and get it. And one little habit we've had, for example, is we put their schedules on the wall. A 5-day schedule is 5 pieces of paper that comes in 5 sheets in a worksheet, and we go and print them out, and we tape them to the wall. Well, today I just put a QR code. I said schedule and QR code there, and that QR code goes to a Google Doc, which has the stuff we used to tape on the wall, and they can all go up there now and get the schedule right, you know, on their own device. So I don't have to go and do all that paperwork, and I just keep updating that one document. But and also for, say, if you make Google Forms, if you want to engage the class, if you're following a syllabus and you have something to do in a workbook, or you know, I can take like a sound file and I can embed it and they can listen to something, but then they go to a Google form and they can fill out the questions and I get the answers on the screen, and it works really smoothly. Again, if that Google form is in a QR code, then they can just shoot it and they've got the form right there in front of them. It's like as if you open to a page in a workbook, except they just write the answers in right there, and then those answers come up to you on your spreadsheet that you're showing them at the head of the class. So it you know, it makes things that you don't have to go over books and what's the answer to this one. You know, all the answers just come there, and you can find the anomalies, and people can pretty much see, you know, how that deals with that in a much more interesting, fluid way than you know, than the way we used to do it. So I'm at early days with iPads. I'd really like to find some really dynamite apps, like ToonDo, for example. That looks like something I might want to play with. I'd like to get students writing and creating and using multimedia. But the bandwidth is our big problem. We actually have had to tell the students that only certain class periods they can use iPads, and that's just the opposite of what we should be doing. I'm the teacher who goes into class. You mentioned earlier that with BYOD classes, some teachers might complain if the students are distracted on their devices while they're trying to teach. So lot of teachers will approach a class and say, okay, close your laptops, let's get started. I always walk into the class and say, okay, open your laptop. Take out your iPad, you know.
Let's start.
What are you doing? Get that book off your desk. No, not like that. You know, I just think people get engaged, and if you're constantly finding new tools, they're really interested in the class, and you know, so.
So, Vance, do you ever have any problem with your students on Arabic websites as opposed to English websites?
Well, yeah, it's a problem. I guess, you know, if I'm at work, I might check Facebook or send tweets, or, you know, these things come up. You know, we have to deal with this in a professional way. You know, we don't waste time doing things that we should be, as opposed to what we should be doing. So you have to inculcate that in your students.
Right.
My work is project-based. That is, they have to produce something by the end of the day. I tell them they got to get on the scoreboard. You know, whatever I tell them to do, it's got to be in my email, or it's got to be in Dropbox, or it's got to be somewhere to show me that they did something during the day. Otherwise, you know, if I don't get that, then, you know, I look at them funny.
Yeah. Well, Kathy Davidson wrote in her book, Now You See It, that, you know, work has kind of oozed out into personal life outside of its 8 hours, and people are much more available to their bosses and their colleagues and their work obligations when they're not at work. I mean, not just us teachers who have always been that way. But she says, you know, at the same time, personal life has intruded into work hours. So that, you know, people, it's a trade-off. I mean, if you're doing more stuff related to work when you're supposedly not at work, then you need to realize that you need some of that time that you used to be devoting 100% to work, theoretically, to some of those other things. It made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if I'm on Facebook, I might quite well be communicating with colleagues, you know, or looking up things that people are posting there that are of, you know, interest to what I'm doing. You know, and most of those things have to do with my personal learning network, and I don't really do that much interaction with friends on Facebook, you know, now and then. But my friends aren't big posters, or anyway, it's hard to.
So you're not up there looking at pornography. Not in
you caught me out on that one.
No. Yes. Yeah, Vince was talking about QR code. I have been using with my students. Okay, we work with like superlative. I said, what's the biggest lake in the world? And then I took like a picture or a text that says what it was, and asked them to go around and find it. You know, they just loved it. So QR code, and I think it's environmentally friendly because you don't have to print a bunch of paper. You know, just print a little code. You put any size you want, and some of them didn't know what those things were for. You know.
Yeah. So far, I'm still in the Hawthorne effect. They seem to be enjoying it.
What's the Hawthorne effect?
The Hawthorne effect is when you use something, the charm of, or its effect can be attributed to the fact that it's new, and then once it is no longer new, it's, you know,
it's just work.
Yeah, you don't really. Yeah, that's right. There's another QR code. Oh no.
Well, you know, there's a balance that we have to strike between doing the same old thing all the time and bombarding students with too many new applications that is just confusing them. You know, there's always the thing that technology is a tool. Just remember to keep it in its place and don't use technology for technology's sake. I think we all know that.
Well, I think Jose made the points well that it's an enabler, and you just find you starting with substitution. Even substitution is often enables because you don't have to go cut those pieces of paper up and do all the preparation that.
Right.
Sometimes you just cut right to the chase with.
Substitution. At the very least, it's a new angle on an old thing.
Yeah, and it can be motivating for the students just to do it in a different way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes it easy for us teacher also, because what happens, especially with composition, for example. It's been a long time that I don't have composition written on pencil anymore in paper. Why? Because you have to do process writing. So there is the first draft. They write the first draft. They wrote in a blog or Evernote or whatever. I save the first draft, and I know what mistakes they made. And then if they lose the first draft, I still have a copy.
Right. Yes. That's very useful.
Way easier, because they were always losing that first draft. Now I know that I have a copy, they don't lose it anymore,
Well, Google Docs is the real tool that you will save all these drafts. You can show people that the students are following a process, and students will often eliminate my comments. And I say, well, and they'll say, well, but I did this, and I'll say, well, I go back into history and pull it out, and
it helps our tired neurons, Okay.
Regarding striking a balance, which I totally agree with Nina, I think we've had to do that all our teaching lives, because even in before technology went into our classroom, we also had to strike a balance between at least, let's say, the 4 basic skills, right, that they were always putting in our heads and so on in trainings and so on. So I think that's one of the most important things in life in general,
that's
right?
it. Yes, Teresina, true, really.
Yeah.
Strike the balance means, doing the same in all aspects of life. I mean, friendship and love and everything,
Yep.
demands the same.
Exactly. Okay, before I go, and sorry, Nina.
It's okay.
Before I go, because I do need to go and have something to eat that João is preparing for me. Since it's the first time that I'm together with Webhead since Dennis Oliver left us, or we found out that Dennis Oliver left us, I'd like to pay him a tribute here. He was a very dear friend. I can remember his enthusiasm in collaborating with my students in the blogs, curricular, extracurricular blogs in the comments, and even in chats. And with becoming a webhead, he was fabulous. And also with you, right, Vance, in multiliteracies, in welcoming all the participants and so on. And he really left a mark, I think, in most of us. And I'd just like to say that I remember him very often. Okay, and as I was telling Rita last night, because she only found out last night, I think, when she got home, is that I would love to know when he died, if somebody is, and this is not being negative, but I would like to remember him in a different way on that date, if possible, every year, because he was really very special. So this is not a sad note, it's a happy note, because I think we have great souvenirs of Dennis Oliver, and I just like to leave my word here, my tribute to him. Okay?
Somebody said that they would like to send condolences to Dennis's sister or other family, and I messaged Dave Sperling. It was his post on Facebook that that's how I first found out that Dennis had passed. And it was strange because he messaged me back, but he didn't say anything. So I think that if anybody knows the date, it would be Dave Sperling, and maybe somebody has a closer connection to him than I do. But I looked up Dennis Oliver obituary on Google and got nowhere. There were no Dennis Oliver obituaries from Arizona of people his age, so I couldn't find it that way, and I don't know where else to look.
Well, I could get in touch with Dave.
Okay, Vance, if you do, this is not being, weird in knowing the date, but I do think of him often, and now you know that. I remember when Elder passed away. It was Anne Fox who told us, and I remember she said that he had died on April 23rd, and I have it in my iPhone, and I remember him fondly also, several times a year, but on that date I do remember him especially, and that's what I would like to do too, about Dennis. Okay, so if anybody knows, just let us know, okay?
Well,
or at
I
least
didn't
me.
know that. I didn't know. It's so sad to know that he passed away. I love Dennis. He was so helpful.
I think everybody loved Dennis.
Yes.
I mean, he was my partner in some of the weeks of Becoming Web Heads. Like the first week, welcoming people. He was so warm and so kind.
Fabulous, yeah.
Yeah, fabulous. But I was concerned about him because he's kind of disappeared. I said, I wonder where Dennis is, Yeah, it's
the last I was in touch with him was at Christmas. I sent him the Christmas card, and he answered back with some carols from the Ukraine and Russia that he especially liked. Yeah, exactly. And I wrote back, thanked him that was the last time we were in touch. But anyway, it's nice to know that I didn't forget him last Christmas. Okay? So
he came to a Webheads meeting maybe in the last year or something like that. He just appeared and he sounded just chipper as ever and like he'd never been away. Maybe I can dig that out. I'll see if I can find our last contact with him.
Right, and Carla's tribute was beautiful. That blog post was just fabulous. I never got to tell her, but anyway, here's my public tribute to Carla for what she wrote, and very heartfelt. Okay, so anyway, guys, have a wonderful day. Jay, I really enjoyed this. Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
See you all. Okay, I'll be coming as often as I can. These hangouts.
That's nice.
Okay?
Great.
Beijinhos to all and hugs.
Yeah.
See you later.
Everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Vance.
Nice to see you. I might just mention that there are some really interesting events the next week. There's Alexander Hayes has been doing a lot with Google Glass. I think to get one, you just
I've seen that. Yeah.
Is that tonight, Vance?
No, well, tomorrow, or for you maybe tonight. Yeah.
What time GMT?
It's very early. It's in the night for us both, Nina.
6:30 GMT.
Yeah.
I don't
it's
think
in Australia. It's in Australia. Yeah. But Alex, that's tomorrow. It'll be in Google Hangouts, so it'll be recorded. But Alex is coming next week at a little early for some of you, maybe not for Rita, but it's at 11 GMT because he's in Canberra, so that's 9 o'clock for him. But the work he's done is just phenomenal. He sent a link to 45 interviews he's done with people who are using Google Glass in all walks of life. A truck driver who uses it for a heads-up display, and a lot of educators and people who are. We had one of his colleagues on who he's got a community called Hacking Alzheimer's. It's trying to use Glass as a way of improving memory in dementia cases. But anyway, it's just really interesting stuff that he's doing. So next week would be a good one for your calendar if you can make it that early.
Yeah, I'll try to.
Okay. Thank you very much
East Coast.
for getting always in touch with everybody so that we can be updated on every single aspect of technology. Thank you very much as usual. And thank you, Jose Antonio. It's been very, very interesting.
Yes.
See you anytime.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jose, for coming and sharing your expertise with us. We really appreciate it. I always love to talk about mobile devices and iPads.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Bye, bye, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, I must stop the recording. Stop broadcast. Okay, it's just me now. Okay, bye everybody. This is May 11th, 2014. We've been talking to Jose Antonio da Silva in Brasilia, a very imaginative teacher, and it's always nice to talk to all these people who came to our broadcast tonight. And goodbye, Dennis. It was nice to have known you. Okay, anyway, bye.